Today we're going to talk about different ways to find profitable startup ideas, and this is coming from a guy that has failed with his startup ideas, and I've also been able to do millions with ideas that did all right. So these are some of the things that I look at and I think with when I'm starting a new idea. Number one, it's okay to copy and improve, to take an idea that's already working and make it better. There's a company called Rocket Internet that has literally based its whole business model around this. But what they do is they find successful businesses, a lot of them in the US, and they basically make their version of it. So they have like a version of eBay, they have a version of Facebook, Twitter, Airbnb, Stripe, Grubhub, and this is based out of Germany. And if you actually look at the world in business, this is a common practice. In other countries, they will look at what's working in the US and they'll take it overseas. And the reality is it happens here in the US. You know, it's not like Facebook was the first ever social media platform. We had MySpace first, and we didn't have Tinder as the first dating app. There were other ones before it. I'm not really sure, but I know that there were. And then we had Bumble, right? So these are taking existing ideas, making them a bit better, and putting a spin on it. Number two, develop an expertise. And the easiest way to do this is to get working experience. One example of this was Hotmail. It was created by Sabir Bhatia, Jack Smith at Apple, and they wanted a way to talk to each other privately. So they basically said, hey, let's build something. They built an application and turned into Hotmail. Now, Hotmail's probably not as popular as it used to be, but it's still something that made a lot of money and it worked. And it started with them getting that experience, being there, and they just by being in that environment, saw a problem and they feel that need, right? Number three is observe your surroundings. Look for inefficiencies in current problems. So for example, Sean Rad and Justin Mateen were seeing a problem in the dating space. They basically said, hey, it's tough to approach women in real life. And some people see that as a problem, and some people will see that, hey, there's actually an opportunity there, because what they did was in 2012, they came out with Tinder, where people could mutually opt in to communicate and there was less friction. Because the reality is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but if I'm a guy, I see a girl that looks attractive, she's working out, I don't know if it's the right etiquette to approach her. I hear a lot of girls complain about it, but then at the same time, if you're not on dating apps, you kind of have to. You have to read these cues, these body language cues. It's complicated, right? So Tinder, you see them, you like them, you both swipe. You start the conversation, there's less friction there. And that was them just observing something in their current environment, not even necessarily in work. Next, we have monitor future trends. So for me, just looking out into the world, I see electric cars, I see virtual reality, I see industries that have to do with sustainability, like solar, efficient housing. There's companies that are like Boxable that make housing more efficient, affordable, robotics, all of those industries, like whether you're smart or not, you can gonna say like, oh yeah, those are probably gonna grow in the future. So next up, we have, getting rid of middlemen. So here's an interesting story of the founder of Misfits, who was on a farm and he basically was with his girlfriend, and for whatever reason, he saw a farmer. He's like, hey, how do you sell these apples, right? So you have apple that are different grades, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. He's like, well, the grade 1, they get sold, they go to the Whole Foods, they go to the different grocery stores. Grade 2, the ugly ones, those were not necessarily doing anything with them. He's like, could I buy some? So he bought some, and basically what happened is he actually ended up getting different credit cards and spending over $100,000 and literally in putting himself on the line, but it did pay off for him. I'm not saying go and do that, but he got rid of the middleman and he started shipping produce, the ugly produce, to customers and clients, and that company is actually evaluated at $1 billion now, I believe. So that's just an example of getting rid of middlemen. There's the farmer, it's not going to the store anymore. They're taking the produce and they're connecting it with the consumer. If you have never started a business, I definitely would be more on the side of jumping into something that is already working. It already has customers, it has a proof of concept. You can make things a bit better, whether that's the customer service, the experience, whatever it is, but you're gonna have less risk versus you trying to create the next unicorn, especially if you're a normal person like me. I'm from a farm town, very small town, and yes, one day I do wanna go and do big business and make a unicorn. But for now, I've found success just finding models that work, making them a bit better, putting my own spin on it, and going from there. So hope you got some value from this. If you want to see more videos, check out my recent content and feel free to subscribe, give this video a like. I greatly appreciate it. Take care, be great.